Good morning and welcome back to Big Head Car Reviews, where today is episode 2 of the HOT SUPERMINI series, and you would have seen by the title already, I'm reviewing the Audi S1. I've been in a couple of these cars, but I've never actually driven one, so I'm extremely excited. In terms of the rules, we're going to play exactly the same as last time with the Mini. 5 categories out of 50. The 5 categories are running costs, exterior and interior quality, price, performance and practicality. I'd be interested to see where the Audi scores against the Mini Cooper S. Now my mad editing skills are going to continue, so the next time I see you, we're going to be in the car. See you in a sec. And yes, here we are in the car. My mad editing skills are yet to be found. Anyway, I want to get the ball rolling. I want to get the ball rolling really quickly actually, because I had lots of comments on my last video that it was too long. Now, it was 19 minutes long. Most of you fell asleep after 9 minutes, and I think some of you may even fell asleep after 9 seconds. But thank you also for the hundreds, I want to say hundreds, that's a lie, lots and lots and lots of fantastic comments that I had. It's great, and like I said, I'm having so much fun doing this. Now, I want to get the ball rolling straight away with talking about this car's price. This car, brand new, they stopped making it last year, 2018, is over £25,000. But that's not this car. This car has panoramic sunroof. It has quattro body kit outside, which you'll see later. It has the climate control. It has the Bose upgraded sound system. And this car was over £31,000. You could get 31,000 bags of Mini Eggs for that. And I know what I would rather have. But, like we said last time, we're not talking about how much these cars are by giving the cash over. We're talking about PCP. So, I happened to be looking for an Audi S1 last year for a friend. And we were looking at new. And we were looking at £0 deposit and what it comes out as monthly. So, same rules apply as the Mini. The Mini came out at £295. Again, before we'd looked at any negotiations. This was coming out with 0 cash, 48 months, 10,000 miles, PCP deal, between 350 and £400 per calendar month. And that really was quite a standard vehicle. That wasn't for, you know, one with lots and lots of kit. So these cars are particularly pricey. So it's difficult to give a car a score on price at the moment because I don't know how good it is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the score for price, like I did with the Mini video, till the end. But Audi, bit expensive, mate. Okay, let's just start talking about this car's performance. That's the real party piece. This car has 228 brake horsepower. It's limited to 155 mile an hour and has about 272 pounds-feet of torque. It's so powerful. And sort of just put that power into context, those of you petrol heads, the Cosworth Escort RS, the massive wing on the back, at the time, that was with the four-wheel drive, that at the time was, you know, sort of the fastest sort of hatchbacky sort of car on the road. And that had 224 brake horsepower. This is a HOT SUPERMINI, it's got 228. This car is a serious powerhouse. Now, in terms of the figures then, 0 to 60, 5.8 seconds. If you get the 5-door, it adds 0.1 seconds, so 5.9, but 5.8 seconds. And to be honest, I'm going to do a little 0 to 60-ish run in a second to see what that feels like, because I've been driving this car for a bit now, and it feels quicker than that. It does feel quicker. It's the four-wheel drive that makes it feel faster. For those of you weirdos like me, will know that this engine is shared with the Golf GTI, the Mark 7. It's the EA 888 2-litre Volkswagen unit. So it powers the Golf GTI, which is a much bigger car. So in a second, you'll be joining me with a launch control start. See you in a sec. Okay, so 0 to 60 is not a launch control because it doesn't have launch control because it's a manual. We're in first gear, got it in dynamic mode. Road's a little bit greasy, but the four-wheel drive should help us there. Let's give it a go. That's 60. Feels very fast. I had an M135i for 3.5 years, and that apparently is 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds. Now, I'm not saying this is faster. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is it feels as fast off the line. That four-wheel drive, these roads are wet. And it just gripped and it went just like you wouldn't believe. Whew. This is a proper car. Good work, Audi. Okay, so we've talked about performance, certainly from a speed point of view. But what we haven't done is we haven't talked about this car's handling. Now, before I go on to the handling, I want to talk about the steering, because this car is in dynamic mode. It doesn't have a sport, but they call it dynamic Audi, which usually really stiffens up the steering wheel, stiffens up the steering, and the throttle response gets a bit sharper, which it definitely does, and it sort of stiffens the suspension. But the steering just feels so light. It feels like no feel whatsoever. It feels like I'm not in control. But let's just get to a roundabout and let's see how the four-wheel drive gets us round it. I know how it feels in a straight line in terms of grip in these damp conditions, but I don't know what it's like going around a bit of a tight bend. So let's just whiz it around here. Give it a bit of lock. Okay, we're into second. Okay, so I'm pretty much flat now. Just understeer. Lots of understeer. I know everyone talks about Audis and how they understeer all the time, but I thought this being such a short car, but there is a lot of weight over that front, with it being that massive engine there. But I think that's the only thing in terms of performance that lets it down. The handling's still good, obviously. It's four-wheel drive, it's a small car, but there is that little bit of understeer, which the purists in terms of drivers, which I am not, by the way, they would mark it down. But in terms of actually straight line speed, this car is an 11 out of 10. So in terms of performance, before I finish, there is one thing I must mention, and this car doesn't sound good enough. I've been a bit negative here, but this car does not sound good enough. Just quickly, let's give you a little second gear burst. I can't give you much here because I'm in a 40 and we're doing 19 currently. I'll give you a little squeeze, see what you think. There's noise. It could sound a lot nicer. I do like the fact that it's not an artificial sound and they're not playing stuff through the speakers like they do on the Mini. There's no pops, there's no bangs, there's no crackles. This is an S car. I know it's the smallest S car, but they could have made it sound better. But despite all this, the performance in straight line wipes it all out. I'm giving this car a 9.5 out of 10 for performance. Superb work, Audi. Okay, so let's now talk about this car's interior, and as you can see, lovely, lovely, lovely. Yep, Audi interior. It's all cracking, as to be expected. There's a few little details on here that are a bit different to the A1. Oh, the only thing I would say quickly is just that this centre console is the same as it was in 2010, and that is 1,000 years ago. So it's a little bit dated, but it's still a nice place to be. A few features. So we've got this squared off S1 steering wheel. You can get this steering wheel on the S line, and you don't have to have the S1 for this at all. But having it squared off makes it at least 5 miles an hour faster. Yeah, red stitching, that looks really, really good. You've all got these very cool S1 sort of grey, light grey dials. And little details, they make a difference. The other detail that I really like is that Quattro badge. That's very nice. And also, that S1 badge in the seat. Those are the little things. Little things make a difference. Anyway, seats. One thing I would say about the seats is they're not that supportive. I think I'm just too big for them. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I'm 6'5", but they just don't hold you in like they should in a performance car. And certainly my Mini, I feel much more secure in the car. This car doesn't have an armrest, but of course you can spec an armrest no problem. In terms of the door bins, practicality wise, I will talk about more about that in a second, but yeah, there's loads of space. Loads of space in there. So generally, in terms of interior, I'm not going to give it a score at the moment. I'll wait for the exterior and then we'll do an average. But yeah, it's just a nice Audi, but a little bit dated. Good work. Okay, so exterior. We've done the interior. Haven't given it a grading yet, because we're going to do that in a second. But let me just whiz you around this. Now, we have got the black pack. So you get black grille, black splitter on the front. That is lovely. You get the normal chrome mirrors, which set across this Sepang blue beautifully. We've got, of course, the black panoramic roof, which just works so well in this colour. We've got the upgraded wheels because it's got the Quattro pack on this car, so you get those wheels there. You also get this sticker that adds at least 2 brake horsepower, at least. You got this outrageous spoiler on the back. The tints work really well with the blue as well. And then finally, you've got the party piece of the car. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 brake horsepower, 4 exhausts. I think that's the way it works. Oh, this car, in terms of exterior, is just great. I think if I was just talking about exterior, I think it's a 9 or a 10 all day long. The interior, with it being just a little bit dated now, I think in terms of overall exterior interior, remember we're talking about quality as well, not just talking about looks. I'm giving it an 8.5. Good work, Audi. So, running cost, what is this car like on fuel? It is horrendous. That is the only way I can describe it. I've had this car for about 25 miles so far. Some of that's been dual carriageway, and a tiny little bit around sort of 30s and 40s. And I'm averaging 29.7 miles per gallon. And I did have a look at the trip beforehand, and the owner, who hasn't reset it for thousands of miles, he's averaging 28. Now that's fine, but Audi claim for 40 average, which is just pathetic. They also claim 48 if you're going sort of, you know, on a motorway journey. They reckon you'll get about 31 going around town. No, you'll get 31 absolute maximum as an average. I reckon you're more likely to get around between 25 and 30. So to describe this car's fuel economy, in a little phrase, it's probably like an alcoholic at a free bar. It's really thirsty. So Audi, in terms of running costs, I'm going to have to apologise, but I'm going to give you a 5 out of 10. Sorry. Okay, so now we're in the back of the Audi S1, so that must only mean one thing. It's time for the practicality test. And the good news ends... Well, it didn't really begin, but there is no good news. Look, I'm 6'5", and my head, I'm slouching already, and I've got no headroom whatsoever. Anyone 6 foot and over, not a chance. Even the people below, the 5'10s, the 5'11s, those of you out there that tell everyone you're 6 foot, you've got no space either. In terms of legroom, this seat in front of me is quite a way forward. I know I'm not a normal sized human being, but the room's pretty poor. As you can see, the seat's quite far forward. Behind my driving position, there's more room than in a Mini, but there's still no room for anyone to sit behind here, unfortunately, so you need someone short driving to be able to fit someone in the back. The other thing, which I didn't really talk about in the Mini because it's absolutely fine, is the space where your feet go. I know it's a manual gearbox, but this centre console here is really wide, and my legs just don't fit in there. I'm constantly rubbing against that side bit there, but for some reason it comes out really wide for sort of no reason. I know you have to use the clutch, but in this car, whereas you don't in the Mini, but it is just a little bit too tight. In terms of cubby holes though, like I said, I mentioned earlier, plenty of space in here, and if you did inspect the armrest, then you would obviously have more storage space there. I said before, the cup holders there as well. So we haven't finished practicality yet, so I can't give it a score. So the next time you see me, we will be in the boot. Okay, so let's have a look at the boot. So standard, like we had on the Mini, the cabin size luggage. Doesn't really look any bigger, but it is bigger. It's 270 litres in here, which, fact for the day, is actually not the same as the normal A1. Because this car is four-wheel drive, you do have to sacrifice some space under there. Because literally under there you don't have a spare tyre either, or a space saver. It's just the battery. Because in the normal A1 you get about 300 litres. So better than the Mini, but still pretty small. And if you want to be carrying dead bodies around, then you need to be getting the Polo GTI, because that has 355, a further 85 litres than this car. In terms of practicality, the space is just so poor in the back seats. The boot is slightly better. I gave the Mini a 4 for practicality, so I'm going to give this car a 5 out of 10. Sorry, Audi. So you join me now back in my kitchen, so it must be time to surmise and add up the scores. Going to get straight into it. Price, I did mention a score in the video. That's because I want to see what the car was like as an overall package. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. And you might think that's a little bit high because it is so expensive, but in terms of long-term costs, these cars are sitting on the market, say for example, a 64 plate, the car's 5 years old, it's out of warranty, it's done 40,000 miles. There's still 16,000, 17,000 pounds to buy. So in terms of depreciation, it really does slow down sort of 3-4 years into it. But yeah, 6 out of 10 I think is a fair price still because it is so expensive, nearly new. Performance, 9.5. I think it's more of a 9, but I'm still going to give it a 9.5. The sound could be better, and of course that understeer is a little bit annoying, but the four-wheel drive traction and the straight line performance is biblical. So 9.5, fantastic result. Exterior-wise, the exterior I think it looks great. That Sepang blue, all the black, is amazing. The interior is it's still nice, it's still Audi, but it's just too old. They didn't change it. Obviously the new Audi A1 is night and day better, but I think on average, like I said, 8.5 is a fair score for the interior and exterior. Running costs, it's a 5 out of 10. It was just so uneconomical for the whole time. I think they ended up averaging about 26 miles per gallon on the drive, and I probably drove about 50 miles total. That's just not enough. These Hot Super Minis have got to do everything, so 5 out of 10 it was for that. Practicality, as you know, it was a 5. The boot is a bit big, like quite considerably bigger than the Mini, but the back seats were just awful. But because most people, are not going to have children or be having people in the back seats, I'm still scoring it a 5 rather than a 4 with the Mini because the boot is bigger, and like I said, you don't really use the rear seats that much. So overall score, 34 out of 50. The Mini was 36, so 2 behind, but a couple of tweaks and that Audi could trounce the Mini, no problem whatsoever. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos of the same. And also visit my Instagram, HarryTurner93. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.